Towards the beginning of Bishalach, during the Torah's description of the Jews' departure from Egypt, we read that Moshe Rabbeinu took the Atzmot Yosef, the remains of Yosef, with him for burial into the land of Israel. The Mechilta famously applies to Moshe in this context a comment made by Shlomo HaMelech in Sefer Mishlei, Chacham Lev Yikach Mitzvot, that a wise-hearted person takes mitzvot. This pasuk, the Mechilta remarks, refers to Moshe Rabbeinu, Zeh Moshe Rabbeinu, in that Shekol ha'am hayu oskim bebizar, Moshe asak b'atzmot Yosef, that all of the Jews were involved in gathering the spoils of Egypt, while Moshe Rabbeinu was involved in the mitzvah of gathering the remains of Yosef for reburial in Israel. At first glance, however, there's a question that you have to ask about the Mechilta's reference to Chacham Lev, to wisdom and the piety of Moshe. True, it's certainly piety that Moshe Rabbeinu was going to take a mitzvah over material gain. But how is this Chacham Lev? How is this wisdom? Rav Pam Zatzal suggested that understanding this comment of the Mechilta requires knowledge of another famous medrash, which also refers to the remains of Yosef. The Yalkut Shimoni in Tehillim comments that when Moshe beckoned the sea to split before Bnei Israel, it refused to do so. It was only in the merit of Yosef, whose whose remains were being transported to Eretz Yisrael, that the sea agreed to split and allow Bnei Israel to pass. What's the connection between Arono Shel Yosef and the splitting of the sea? According to the Tanchuma, it was as a reward, because when Yosef ran away from Eshet Potiphar, Vayanas Vayetze Achutza, he did something extraordinary, and therefore the sea ran away. Hayam Ra'a Vayanos. But however one decides to understand the connection between Yosef and the splitting of the sea, ultimately it emerges that Moshe Rabbeinu's efforts in bringing the Atzmot Yosef ultimately proved to be important, that it was the only way the sea would split. It was an act of wisdom, Rav Pam suggested. This is what the pasuk is referring to. Moshe had the wisdom to recognize the value of mitzvah observance and that it far exceeds that of material wealth. He understood that although wealth gives a person a sense of security and gratification in the immediate, these benefits pale in comparison to the long-term benefit of mitzvot. Moshe's involvement, therefore, in retrieving Yosef's remains exemplifies how what at first looks like a foolish decision ultimately is proven to be the right decision. Very often, people might scoff at the sacrifices that we observant Jews make in order to keep the mitzvot. They may consider it foolish to forego an extra day of work or other forms of material success for the sake of religious devotion. In truth, however, it's the Chacham Lev. It is a person who is very wise, Yikach mitzvot, who takes with him the mitzvot, because these mitzvot that we do far exceed anything that the material world could offer us.